Just getting ready to plant a few squash here, trying to prep the soil so we can get them planted. There's nothing like harvesting some nice fresh zucchinis or crooknecks. Today we're going to be planting one of my favorites. It's called Summer Surprise, and the Summer Surprise is a blend of 5 different zucchinis. So there's a dark green zucchini, yellow zucchini, a striped zucchini, gray zucchini, which is called gray zini, and then it has a Lebanese type squash in there that's a really light green that's called a Claremore squash. Really great varieties. So I like to rake the area where I'm going to be planting and just kind of scrape some of the soil aside. We do the seeds in hills, but it's not really a hill, it's actually more of a depression where we're going to be planting them. So we don't want to mound the soil up, because if we put the seeds on top of the mound, every time we water it, the water's going to run off and go somewhere else. So we're actually making kind of a depression where we're going to be planting these seeds. I like to mix a little bit of a soil amendment into the soil with it. I've expanded some coconut coir. The coconut coir is a lot like peat moss, but comes in a dehydrated brick. Then you just add water to it and the brick expands and it holds moisture like crazy. It's one of the best soil amendments if you want your soil to retain a little bit more moisture. And I like to use it to mulch my squashes with because they germinate a lot faster. Helps hold the moisture in there. So I'll put some coconut coir in there where we're going to plant the seeds, kind of work it into the soil so it will help that soil retain a little bit more moisture. And then we'll just kind of pat it down a little bit. That's where our seeds are going to start to grow. We don't want to put too many seeds out, but we want to have a good variety of seeds, especially with this blend, because it has all those different varieties in there. We're not quite sure what's going to come up. So I usually put out about 5 or 6 seeds. I think we've got 7 there, and just kind of space them out a little bit. So I've got about 7 seeds right there, just spaced them out just barely. And then I'll take a little bit of soil to go over the top, and we'll just sprinkle a little bit of soil over the top of them. And then we're going to pat that soil down. So they're just barely covered up. They've only got about a 1/4 of an inch of soil over the top of them, and then we're going to mulch them completely with the coconut coir. And that coconut coir is going to hold the moisture down below, but it's going to dry out on top. When the sun hits it, it's going to warm it up, but it's going to retain that extra moisture down below where we want it and help those seeds germinate a lot faster. Now I like to take my trowel and kind of bring the soil up around it to make a basin, so it's going to hold that moisture in there a little bit better without the water running off all over the place. So we'll just kind of build those walls up a little bit so we can get the water to stay in here. At this point, a little bit of a slow release fertilizer. I've got my Natural Guard all-purpose fertilizer, nice balanced fertilizer. I really like their tomato and vegetable food as well too, but I thought I'd try this one instead. It's got beneficial microbes, microorganisms, mycorrhiza, archaea in there, a lot of natural beneficial organisms to really get your soil working the way it's supposed to, feed the plants, but we're also feeding the soil at the same time. So it's a uniform fertilizer. It's got a lot of different nutrients in there, a lot of beneficial organisms to really get those plants growing. Just a light sprinkle, and we can kind of work that into the compost, that coconut coir just a little bit. And then I like to water my seeds with a root enhancer like the Kangaroots. So the Kangaroots root drench, as those seeds start to germinate, this will really kick them into root development mode, so they'll get established a lot faster and they'll take off a lot quicker. But the first 2 or 3 waterings with the Kangaroots root drench will actually inoculate those plants with the beneficial mycorrhiza that are in here, really make them produce a lot better. They'll be a lot healthier plants, they'll be able to fight off diseases better, and it really gets them established and gets them growing quicker than anything I've ever used. I love the Kangaroots. So just a light watering to soften that soil and moisten those seeds down just a little bit. And as you can see, the coconut coir just lets that water just absorb right down in very quickly. And we want to just saturate the soil, but not disturb the soil so much that the seeds get moved around. So we don't want to put too much soil in there, or too much water. but we're going to give that a little bit of time to saturate in. I'll probably come back and water it again so those seeds stay nice and moist all the way through. Then to really get them to germinate faster, I'll put a hot cap or an aquadome over the top of those seeds to help the soil retain the heat and retain the moisture, and they'll just germinate a lot faster. And we'll leave those on until those squash really start to run and really start to spread, and it will really increase their germination. They'll germinate much faster, but they'll also take off a lot quicker because of that extra heat that's in there. So once that seed's nice and moist like it is right now, hot cap, aquadome, wall of water right over the top of it to help hold that moisture. And in most cases we can get that seed to germinate in about 5-6 days, and those new little seedlings will be coming up. We'll continue to leave the hot cap or the aquadome on for another couple weeks until the plants really get established. Then I'll take that off and let it grow as well too. I like to do my squash with the weed barrier, so I'll put a row of weed barrier on one side, leave a little section in the middle. My helper came to find us, and then do another section on the other side so that the squash can grow over the top of the weed barrier. Don't have to worry about weeds coming up, and it really helps generate some heat in the soil so those plants will produce a lot quicker. So great way to plant your squash, so easy to do. You want that soil to retain that moisture. They'll germinate like crazy, and you'll be picking zucchinis before you know it.